Welcome back to another video of Footy Nuffies.
Yep, good to be back again. Geez, they roll around quick, don't they, the weeks? It's a bit frightening. Does it roll around quick for you? School and... Not so much?
This year it has.
This year it has?
Not prep, I don't reckon prep did.
Didn't prep? Nah.
Only 2 and 1.
2 and 1. Oh, fair enough. Us adults, it certainly goes quick. It's a bit scary, but... thank you for everyone that's followed and subscribed and liked their videos. We really appreciate it. I think we're up over 60 subscribers now, which is pretty awesome. Bert is happy with that too, which is great. But you can also find us, where else can you find us, Ash?
TikTok, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Instagram.
Those are the ones. Perfect. All right, mate, let's get stuck into it. It was an interesting weekend of footy. A lot of rain. I think, was it every game rained apart from under the roof on Thursday night, was it? The Dogs and the Hawks. And over in WA it was sunshine, which was beautiful.
Well, yeah.
But every other game I think it was cold and wet.
Yeah. Well, what was the first? Well, it probably rained over in Marvel Thursday night. But
yeah, but
they didn't get it. So that would have been that game. Sure. What's the Friday night one? Ooh, was that?
Gosh.
It was a cracker, but it was Brisbane, Adelaide. Did that rain?
Yeah, that did. Yeah, that was wet too.
Saturday was...
Saturday rained all day.
Richmond, Sydney, did that rain?
Yeah, that was wet.
And then Cats, they pulled.
Yeah.
And then
Giants and that up in Canberra was cold and wet.
Yeah.
Sunday was cold and wet with Carlton Essendon and same again Melbourne and Collingwood on Monday.
But not quite Bunbury.
Not in Bunbury. But let's get into it, mate. What's making news? What's in the news?
Sam Darcy to return this week.
Yeah, I'm thrilled about that because he was having some sort of a season.
Yeah.
Before he went down with that nasty injury. And
the team that he went down with it is who they're playing this week, the Saints.
Is it the Saints?
Yeah.
They beat the Saints that game, didn't they?
Yeah, by...
They smashed them, didn't they? Yeah.
11 goals or 12.
Yeah, well, hopefully no issues. I mean, it was a relief that it wasn't as bad as perhaps what might have been first thought. So that was a relief, but great to have him back because he's the star of the game and he's so young. What else is making news, mate?
Pickett 7-year extension.
Yeah, it hasn't been signed yet, but there's certainly a lot of talk about it. Melbourne, potentially 7-year extension for Pickett, which is wonderful for him. $1.4 million or thereabouts per season.
Per year.
That's just, that's great for him, but I just, there's always a lot of talk about, Geelong, they just cotton on, they heaps of brown paper bag sort of stuff, to keep these players on their list, and how do they got all these players? But I actually look at Melbourne and go, is that more a mismanagement of the list? Like, they want to keep Pickett, for sure, but they've signed Clary on like a 7 or 8 year deal or whatever it was, Petrarca on a similar deal. They brought in Grundy and then shipped him off 1 year after they brought him in. Like how many big deals can you have at your club? And then the other blokes are just getting chicken feed. I don't know if it's a good idea. Like you look over at North Melbourne, they try and lure these big fishes, but they can never land one, and they try and offer ridiculous money. But you go, what, you're going to pay like 2 players exorbitant amounts of money, and then the rest are just going to be on basic money. And if you're not getting the results, who's going to want to stick around on basic money when they might be able to go shop themselves around and make more money elsewhere? Anyway, would love your thoughts in the community. Let us know. 1.4 mil for Pickett. Is that too much? Should you just let him go back to Freo?
Is that where he's from, WA?
From WA, yeah. And
Neil is too. But he doesn't look like he wants to go back.
No, that's right. But Pickett, there's talk about WA clubs luring him back. So anyway, I just think it's too much for him.
But then Fremantle are okay, but West Coast you wouldn't go to. If you had to choose, he would probably go to Fremantle. But then if he went to Fremantle, that would be a pretty dangerous, small forwards.
Yeah,
Shy Bolton
it would be.
And Cosy Pickett.
But I'd argue that they're a pretty similar player. I suppose they've got room for him in their side. They must. But I don't know. Yeah, you're paying overs to keep him Melbourne. I don't know if he's going to carry your side for the next 7 years and win you a whole heap of games. He's a wonderful player, but it's just so much money.
But he's not a Well, he has been in the midfield.
He can play in the middle and,
But not really defence.
No.
And he's that small.
If you're not, who am I paying 1.4 mil? Dacos.
Yeah.
That's who I'm paying 1.4 mil.
Or Bont.
Yep, Bont. Yep, he's up there. But I look at Piggy and go, I don't know about him just yet. Yeah, sometimes I feel like these clubs put out, like, look at Carlton, like, they're sitting 10th, 11th, 12th on the ladder, whatever. They've got 3 or 4 or 5 players on big money, and then the rest of the players, just, I suppose, their income's spread out, and, you just can't attract other big names. And now they're running the risk of losing Tom de Koning because St Kilda's offering him ridiculous amounts of money. And he's a gun. I mean, anyway, that's a can of worms you can just open right up. What's next there, mate? Hall of Fame?
Yeah, Gary Lyon, Nick Revolt, Luke Hodge, and WA. No, W. No,
Gary Lyon. I didn't realise he actually won 2 All-Australians as a centre-half back before he won 3 All-Australians as a forward. So he ended up kicking 400 and something goals.
426.
But he played X amount of games as a defender. Imagine if he had played all these games as a forward, he could have kicked 600-700 goals. So, because when I look at Gary Lyon's goal kicking, and I thought, hell, he's 400. I mean, that's a great effort. That's 400 plus more than I've ever kicked in the AFL. But when you look, geez, he played all those games in defence as well. That's a huge return. That's awesome. So he was a gun. Plus, he broke his leg there at one point. They got the funny. It wouldn't have been funny for him, but it's funny for everyone else when he's on the stretcher just clutching his. We'll see if we can tag it in here. What are we at? 6.5 minutes. I'll try to see if we can tag it in. But I don't remember much of him. I was still young. But Rewalt and Hodge.
Hodge was a gun.
Both captains. Both wonderful, great leaders.
Well, Revolt wasn't a premiership player, but did make a premiership.
Well, made a grand final,
yeah.
Played in 3 because one was a draw, but he was still a wonderful leader and courageous.
Luke Hodge, was he full-time premiership player?
Yeah, Hodgie was, yeah. And he was courageous. And but one thing I really liked about Hodge, and it's a really good thing for even you kids in under-9s, but just for juniors playing footy, is Hodgie was fearless, courageous, incredibly skillful, but
he told his teammates where to go.
Yep, he was like the general. You'd call him the general. He's barking orders. Yep, press back or push up or press back. Man up or come back to the he was just directing traffic, and that's like having a coach on the field, which is just fantastic. So no, he was wonderful. Aaron Phillips, Daisy Pearce as well. The AFLW pioneers really. They've been inducted into the Hall of Fame, which I think is very deserved. If there's one mark on the AFLW at the moment, you could potentially say that perhaps the depth of really strong female footballers is maybe not super deep. So therefore, you sort of go, well, the competition sort of suffers because you don't have, say, 10 or 12 guns on each team. But Daisy Pearce and Aaron Phillips, they were genuine guns. They were fantastic.
When you're in the AFL, AFLW, well, if you have a great player, then, it's one of the best in that whole sort of girls' league. Well, you probably got to put her in there because she's the best of the girls. Doesn't mean the boys, means the girls. She's the best
right. And they were the best, and they were pioneers as well. They had no platform. Like young girls today, like your sister, they've got a platform if they want to try and play professional football at the highest level. Whereas Daisy Pearce and Aaron Phillips, they didn't. Kudos, massive kudos to them. They deserve to be there. Some of the other ones that you think will probably get there at some point. Monique Conti out at Richmond. She's still playing. She's a gun. And also...
Daisy Pearce coaches the Eagles.
She's coaching over at West Coast now, yeah. But she was a Melbourne captain and...
Premiership
captain as well at Melbourne. And I'm trying to think of the Richmond captain as well. She was captain over at the Bulldogs. And then she went across to Richmond. And she won a premiership. I don't think she played that one at Richmond. at Bulldogs. But anyway, she'll be in the Hall of Fame as well one day because she's a gun. But there'll be more. But huge kudos to those pioneer women. Some of the other ones there, there was a couple others, sort of interstate. One fella there, George Owens in the waffle. But also the 34th legend, Kenny Farmer.
What's that, 34th legend?
Well, so the first few that we talked about, they've been inducted into the Australian Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And then, there's that level, and then there's the legends, Australian Football Legends, Hall of Fame legends.
So is that sense. On top of it?
Yeah, so I think Plugger Lockett's in there. Lee Matthews would be in there. There's up there.
So he's the 34th.
So this fella, Ken Farmer was the 34th. So he played in the Sandford back in the 1930s and 40s and kicked over 1,400 goals. So
on the dot, basically. Probably not on the dot, but yeah, it would have been.
But yeah, no. So look, we didn't see him play obviously, but kicked
1930s and 40s,
hundreds and hundreds. Yeah. So well done to all of them. That's awesome. Next in the news there, mate.
Stephen May.
Stephen May. So, if you didn't see the footage, go back and watch
it. He got stuck into Max Gawn.
Yeah.
And then Gawn pushed him
sort of told him, get off, get away, sort of thing.
But Daniel Turner, he said, okay. But then instead, Stephen May just got stuck into him.
Well, Stephen May's got history and form.
Yeah, he does. I know about this.
Behaving poorly. And look, he's obviously just the utmost competitor, and we all want to win. We never want to lose. So, you want to get into your teammates and sort of say, look, maybe next time perhaps do this instead. But Gawn's probably the last person you want to get stuck into. I mean, that bloke bleeds red and blue. He gives his heart and soul to that footy club. And you can never question his performance. I believe. I mean, he keeps that team together. And I think throughout the year he has kept that team together when they were playing really poorly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't think... I mean, Gawn's come out as the captain and he said, I shouldn't have behaved. I shouldn't have responded that way. I should have responded differently.
Who, Gawn?
Gawn come out and said that. It's like, but he's doing that because he's the captain. He's the face of the club. So I go, no, Gawn. Stephen May needs to pull his head in, mate. You told him, get stuffed, mate. You butchered a kick. But
then you have to see...
You had 35 seconds on the clock. I mean...
Yeah,
everything has to go right.
But then maybe Stephen May did that kick while he probably could have done the same.
Yeah, maybe. Look, I think he was suggesting a different route to goals, whereas Gawn tried to use the corridor, which is the fastest and quickest way to goals. Obviously, it didn't come off. Gawn actually said in the post-match, he said he tried to do like a chaos mongrel barrel.
Yeah.
Thinking that the chaos ball might actually work.
I tried to do that when I was filming in '99, and it did not pay off.
Didn't work.
I was in the back line, kicked it out full back, and just went straight to opposition.
I did see that.
Yeah.
Next time. And I think, old Stephen May would have given you old bacon. I think he'd say down the line, use the boundary line. The boundary line's your friend. Yeah. But I see what you're doing. The chaos ball. That was when you filled in. And years were getting pumped by...
Yeah, we got pumped by
fair margin.
75.
And it was bucketing down rain. So the chaos ball, maybe you had some merit with the chaos ball. Maybe in the wet conditions, it might have paid off. But anyway, that doesn't matter. You blokes did your best. And the last one in the news there, mate.
Oak Beverage extends contract 2 more years.
Yeah. What do you think of that?
Oh, that's probably good.
Probably good. I mean, he's had them purring, hasn't he?
Well,
they don't purr dogs, but
6 and 4 were they? We've lost the last 2, I think.
Yeah. The last few weeks hasn't been super for them, but I mean, you think of that start to the year.
Cats and Hawks, I think.
I was thinking, oh my gosh, these blokes are genuine contenders. Well,
at the start of the year, they were a bit average, and then they started...
They had that patch, didn't they? Like 5 or 6 weeks where they were brilliant. They had they were just winning games and being relentless, but...
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Yeah, but the reason I say what do you think about that is because the last few years, whether you agree or not, please leave a comment, but the last few years, he's been quite maligned. Like you sort of thought, has he lost some of the playing group? But by the looks of this season, you'd
But you
suggest,
can
well,
see
he hasn't.
they don't even have Cody Wakeman or Jamara, and they're still fine.
Yeah, and I mean, Treloar's only just started playing the last couple of weeks. Like, they've been missing players all season, and
the
he's
Bond,
got them up
he
and
was,
about. Yeah, he missed 4 or 5 weeks at the start.
Yeah,
So. No, so I don't think he's lost the playing group by the looks of this season anyway. Perhaps maybe he lost, who was it? Bailey Smith. How did I forget that name? Perhaps he might have lost him, in a sense of just mentally, like they didn't connect, and obviously Bailey ended up the Cats. But no, Luke, congrats, mate, and congrats to the Dogs because
I think
2 extra years, I think it's a good thing.
I think it was Scott and Bailey might have connected more than Beveridge and Bailey.
It's like anything, a workplace, whether it's school,
See in the comments if you reckon Bailey and Beveridge is better or Scott and
Smith.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. Drop comment. Under the pump, Ashy.
Brizzy.
This is a bit stiff, isn't it?
Yeah, probably.
But
like another water and
I know, but the last month hasn't been convincing. They drew to North Melbourne, lost to Melbourne. They beat Hawthorn and did a good number on Hawks, but then I'd argue at the same time the Hawks weren't travelling all that well. And then they lost to Adelaide over there, tough conditions, but they were leading by 4 goals, I think, at one point.
Second quarter, midway through second.
I don't know. They just seem a bit off. And now this week they got the Giants at home. You suspect they probably win that, but the Giants are going to be up for it because they're desperate. They're at real risk. We're going to talk about them next. They're at risk of falling out of the 8. So, yeah, they should be genuinely up for it. And then they're travelling down to the Cattery.
Brizzy.
So, I mean, they could win those 2 or they could lose 2.
If they lose 2, it's going to be hard. Lose 2.
Yeah. Well, they've dropped 6 points behind Collingwood now on the ladder.
No. The lose 2 would be... If the Collingwood win 2, well, we're going to be 48. Brisbane are going to 38.
Hard to see anyone.
But then that could technically mean Brisbane could sit down to 5th.
Yeah, 3rd, 4th. Yeah, absolutely.
Because Gold Coast might win their next 2. Brisbane might drop them. Cats might win theirs. Adelaide might win theirs. You might find even Dockers might win their next 2, and they might go 9 wins, and same as Brisbane.
Yeah, I still think Brisbane will finish top 4.
But no, Brisbane could just go 8th.
They could, mind you. Would they win it from 6th last year or something anyway, or 5th or whatever? So they can win it from anywhere. But something seems a bit off. But that's okay. Next one, mate.
Giants. Dropped Power, Freo, injury concerns.
Yeah, well, so Green, there's talk about him coming back this week.
Yeah, it's Toby Green.
Yeah, despite he had that big knock last week. Which then he got subbed out. Yeah. And then
Toby Green had
obviously is out now for the season.
Yeah, Toby Green had the long sleeve on.
He did. Yeah, didn't mind the long sleeve. I thought that looked all right, the Giants long sleeve. But so... Some injury concerns. They've dropped games against Power and Freo on their home deck that you thought they would have won. I don't know. I've got here they've lost to the Crows, the Dogs, the Swans, Freo, Power. I don't know. They just
only
just beat the Tigers, yeah. And Brizzy this week, then the Suns.
Imagine if they lose 2. I think the Suns is at their home deck though.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, they're away then home, but yeah, you're right. If they lose 2, they could drop out of the 8. Even if they lose 1, they could possibly drop out of the 8 with teams that are chasing.
Maybe
because the Dogs are hot on their heels.
Yeah. Well, maybe the Suns just come because they've had a poor month.
They have too. Yeah, we probably should put them in, shouldn't we?
And they might just come to Sydney and absolutely just show them heat and make the Giants actually scared. They could drop it.
They have to. And the last one there under the pump, Ashy. This one probably should have been first.
Isn't North?
Oh, Kangaroos and West Coast.
Oh, well, yeah, basically.
They need to
apologise to Brumby.
To the people of Brumby. And to anyone that sat through that game. I don't know, mate. That was atrocious.
6 goals, 16, 52 to...
And that's the way it ended.
To 9 goals, 8.
Yeah, 62. That's the way it ended. But that first half of footy, West Coast at one point had kicked 1 goal 13 or something. What the? It's just the skill errors and things like that. I think I said to you there at one point, we are so blessed to support the Cats. And the Cats will have a downtime in the years to come at some point, but, man, that was hard watching.
Yeah.
Should they apologise or not worry about it?
Yeah, I don't think they should.
Anyway, that's under the pump, mate.
No, but they did score higher than the Cats and Suns.
No, I know.
But that was a wet game.
Yeah, exactly. The conditions were vastly different. Highlights, mate. What's in the highlights?
Cats vs Suns, 154 stoppages, new record.
Yeah, that's right. Now I've just said that Kangaroos and West Coast need to apologise, but other people that might have sat through that Geelong Suns game might say that the Cats and the Suns need to apologise because it was just stoppage fest. But 154 stoppages, new record for the AFL-VFL, or since statistics have been taken. That was tough as nails, high pressure, finals-like sort of game. It was, great effort by the Suns, great effort by the Cats.
Yeah, but in the last quarter, the Cats sort of got away. But
opened up
for most of the quarter,
it was tight, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We went along, and that was a real hard game of footy.
It was a slugfest.
It was. They're gonna be some pretty tired, sore boys. Fortunately, Geelong's got an extra day off than Essendon do this week, but they're gonna have some sore legs. But
Essendon had to play through a pretty wet game too.
Wet game as well, yeah. And your legs just pull up a bit heavier. But anyway, no, I wrote the statistic down. I thought that was pretty impressive. But next in the highlights, mate.
Adelaide, incredible comeback.
Yeah, so they were 4 or 5 goals down at one point. And in those conditions, similar to what Geelong played in and the Suns, like it was wet, tough conditions. It's hard to come back when you get that far behind. But they're super dangerous, the Crows. Jordan Dawson.
So maybe you say the sides that have beat them at Adelaide Oval are actually really good.
Only good sides beat them at Adelaide Oval.
Yeah, that's right. Collingwood hasn't played them yet.
That's right.
At the Adelaide Oval.
Played them at Melbourne. Yeah, you're right.
Well,
they play them, don't they? Later on in the year.
I don't know. But Cats have been one of the only sides.
That's right. No, but
has there been another side?
Oh, off the top of my head, I can't think. But they look good.
At the start of the year.
They look good.
At the start of the year, they were just.
Yeah, they were thereabouts, but the last few weeks they just keep building and let's be fair, you don't have to be the best team in the first month or two of footy, do you?
Yeah,
you got to be the best.
You don't win premierships in April or May.
That's right. You got to bank wins. You got to win. But you got to hit form in August.
Maybe you want to bank wins in April or May.
Yeah.
To set up your season.
That's right.
You don't want to, but you can't win premierships in them.
No.
So there was Giants, Cats. No. Probably most team took it was last year to Sydney. They were 10-1.
Yeah.
And they go to not 0-4 Brisbane at the start of the year, and Brisbane win by 60 points.
That's right. They built into their season, didn't they? And look, that surprised me and probably surprised many. But you could even look at Hawthorn this year. You know, they started off. They were pretty frightening. They've sort of fallen away a bit. I'm sure they're going to play finals.
Yeah, but then when they were 0-5 and they came back.
You talking about the D's at 0-5?
Talking about.
Oh, that Hawks. That was last year. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, well, that's right. But no, I'm just saying this year. You know, like as you said, teams don't win premierships in April, May. Well, Hawks were flying, and then sort of they've fallen off.
No, they were 4-0, and then they dropped to Power Cats 4-2. Yeah. And I think they bounced back against the Eagles.
Yeah. Anyway, next on there, mate. Next in the highlights.
MCG.
The MCG Surface. Now,
smashed.
I'm putting them in the highlights this week.
Yeah.
Or putting the Surface in the highlights. And the curators. Hats off to you
guys.
Surface. Yeah. What an effort. How good were they? Like, how that ground would have copped that much water. Honestly, like, it rained for like 2 days straight here in Geelong and Melbourne. And they had 3 games of footy. And, you know, looking at the Oval, remember we watched a bit of the game there on Monday, and we're looking at the Oval, and we said, well, you can just see some, you know, darker patches of, you know, where the grass has really suffered. But it wasn't significant. You go back and watch footage from, like, the 80s and even the early 90s, and they did used to have a cricket pitch there over summer. Now they use a drop-in pitch, but they were just like mud pools in the dead of winter. But, no, so kudos to the MCG curators, ground staff. You've done an awesome job. That ground was in great nick for the whole weekend, under tough conditions. And the last one, mate?
Power doing it for Ken.
Doing it for Kenny. Fair income. Here I was a few weeks ago saying he's done at the bye, after the bye. But he's just hanging in there. They go to the Giants.
They said if potentially Port was the Giants Ken's last game.
Yeah.
Well, it's not going to be yet.
No, he's got himself another month. Anyway, good on you, Port. I still don't think they're playing finals. That'll probably just about do us. We didn't get any match day vlogs for Ashy, unfortunately.
No.
We couldn't get any willing participants. It was damn cold down here in Geelong.
But I did get goal of the year.
Oh, yeah. Hey, talk us through it. Yeah, we should have put that in the highlights. Run us through it. Where were you on the ground? What quarter was it in?
Fourth and quarter. Very well needed.
It was needed, wasn't it? Because we were up by 8 points at three-quarter time.
Yep.
Yep. And we got the wind in the last quarter, so we were quietly confident. I was quietly confident. The boys did a wonderful job defensively throughout the whole game. You get to coach on the field, which is grouse, but it's all about just telling them, okay, boys, get your opponent again, stand next to someone. But I thought they did really well. Young Will was grouse at directing traffic, a bit like Luke Hodges, telling his teammates, man up. But you've marked it. Did you mark it in the pocket? Or was it out of bounds on the full?
No,
it was a free kick. What was a free kick for?
It was a push in the back.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's it we say, don't you? First to the ball, you'll get looked after. Well done. And then you're deep in the pocket, though.
Yeah, I was pretty deep. And I was like on the boundary line.
Was it 45 metres out?
No, probably not. But I reckon it was about 20 or 10 or 15.
It would have been about 10, but that's a decent kick for you boys. You're only 7.
And then I shaped it up as a check side, and it's just gone through. And then I...
Just the old curler,
the old chiseler. And I turned to the crowd, Grovedale crowd, because that's the team who we were playing on Amos.
What'd you give them? Give me a bit of that one. Oh, golly. They watch too much television, guys. I'm telling you, they watch a lot of television, don't you? You gave that one, and not long after, Jai bagged a couple to finish the game out, and he did a bit of zigzagging in traffic, snapped it, and then he did the same one as you, turned to the Grovedale crowd and just gave it the old two hands up. And anyway, it's good fun under 9s footy, good fun. When we're playing Friday night, aren't we, this week? So I've checked the forecast, and it shouldn't be too cold.
We're playing against the Thompson Tigers, who...
It'll be interesting. I don't know. No, last time you just gave them a belting, but this time it could be different. Maybe they've got an extra player or two. Don't know.
Well, we should.
You're starting the back line, aren't you?
Yeah, probably not going to get much of the ball.
Oh, they're going to have to stay warm, move around. Anyway, guys, what are we? Almost 30 minutes. I reckon that should just about do us. I'm going to go and edit this, and we'll get it up. I don't think we'll get one tomorrow. But anyway, have a good weekend. And you never know. We could do a match preview, round preview. It'll be nice to do one, but it's hard. It's all time, school and work and whatever else. That'll do us, guys. Thanks again. So please, if you haven't liked and subscribed, we'll pop the little logos below, and appreciate all your support, all your comments, and keep it up. We appreciate it. Good luck to your team this week. Go the Amos under 9s and go the Mighty Pussycats, and we'll catch up next week.